Greetings with lovers everywhere. I'm E-Train and welcome to E-Train Talks. And today is an absolutely amazing day because I'm here with the sensational Shib Sibs, Alex and Maia Shibutani. And they are US Olympic bronze medalists as well as authors, as you can see by their two books here. They actually have more in this Kudo Kids series. So anyway, a bit about them before we get into the questions. So they have received countless awards, medals, and accolades for their unbelievable figure skating. Pretty incredible, right? And if that's not amazing enough for you, this dynamic sibling duo has done something else pretty wonderful. They've written a book, and it's literally amazing. That's the title of their book, and the story really, really is. It spotlights amazing Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders who inspire us all. It's a groundbreaking picture book that I truly believe needs to be in every classroom and library across the country and around the world. So, Maia and Alex, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
We're thrilled to be here. We only wish our background was as impressive as yours.
Thank you. I mean, a blank background is still pretty cool too.
We wanted to keep it clean.
Yeah.
But you have so many books on that shelf. It's really impressive.
Oh, thank you. It's my collection of about my whole life, so it's only going up from here.
That's awesome.
So, before we get started about your books, I just wanted to ask about a question about, well, your figure skating journey. So, both of you are so accomplished, and you're the first ice dancers of Asian descent to win an Olympic medal in figure skating. And that's monumental to say the least. And will you please share a bit about your figure skating story and how did you both first get interested in skating? How old were you?
I was 4 years old when I first stepped on the ice, and we have a 3.5 year age difference. So Alex was 7. We started skating together when we were 9 and 12 years old.
Yeah, and Maya started skating just for fun.
We both did.
Well, yeah, it was both of us who decided to just like learn to skate. But Maya immediately took to it. You really had so much fun on the ice. You wanted to take private lessons. I was playing basketball. I was practicing the violin. I had other activities, but I saw how much fun Maya was having when she was practicing. So I decided to give it a try, and definitely couldn't have foreseen it taking me on this incredible journey. But when we started skating together when we were 9 and 12, we've always had this really good relationship. And so all of the practicing, and yes, it's a lot of hard work, but we always had a lot of fun. And so I think that that definitely helped us make progress faster. And we definitely made very fast progress through the ranks.
As soon as we teamed up, it became very clear that we make a great team, both on and off the ice. We went to our first Olympic Games in 2014 and our second one in 2018. And along the way, there are so many ups and downs. And while we're very proud of all the accomplishments, what we also really don't take for granted is all the incredible lessons that we learn along the way.
Yeah, and we try to apply those to everything that we do moving forward. There's so much value that we learned through the Olympics and through figure skating.
Well, that is so cool. And it's great that now you're kind of shifting gears a bit. You're going from figure skating, which you're still doing. I've seen some videos of both of you still on the ice doing what you love, but you're also writing, and it's like a clash of two pretty awesome worlds, and you're combining it to make something pretty awesome.
Yeah, thank you. With books, I guess I'll start with skating. Skating is a creative sport. And so we really enjoy the ability to come up with a story on the ice and perform it and rehearse it hours and hours. And we feel like there are a lot of similarities between our creative process on the ice and when we're creating a book. And so it's been nice to be able to continue to work together in that way. And there's definitely been a lot to learn, but it's been a really exciting start to our book writing career.
So, as authors, what do you hope to achieve through AMAZlNG? Like, how do you envision your book making a positive impact on readers?
When we started working on AMAZlNG over 2 years ago, we knew that it was a very ambitious project. But right off the bat, we felt much better knowing that we could put so much work into Kudo Kids. And while Kudo Kids is a fictional series, especially when we were trying to tackle a nonfiction children's picture book, we relied on our experience of collaboration, deep research, and we think that the impact would be really long lasting.
Yeah, we hadn't done a nonfiction book before AMAZlNG. Our Kudo Kids series is a middle grade book series, and that isn't autobiographical by any means, but certainly inspired by our relationship and dynamic as siblings. The siblings in the book, the Kudo Kids, are Mika and Andy, and
Maia and Alex, 4-letter names.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a little bit of
and there's no skating, but they go on adventures and they work well together as a team, and they have their disagreements from time to time, but they overcome them. And that was a really fun project. But one of the reasons why we wanted to start writing books in the first place, E-Train, was we grew up together. We're much older than you, but we read a lot of the same books, and we would listen to books on tape. I know that people now listen to audio books, but when we were your age, we were going to pop in a little cassette tape into the car, and we would be able to listen to someone narrate a story, because we were always going from school to the rink, from rink to rink. And so we've always loved books, but we never really recalled reading any books that highlighted Asian Americans. There were certainly a couple, but not as many as we would have liked. So in trying to add to the representation for children's literature, that was where Kudo Kids came in. And then we were thinking a lot about AMAZlNG, and the fact that there aren't a lot of books, history books, and children's picture books, especially, that highlight the contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. And so much research went into this book because we wanted to be as inclusive, as accurate, and tell great stories that will inspire the next generation for years to come.
My next question for you is probably something that we're all wondering. So, do you have any plans or any future writing projects or creative endeavors in the works?
AMAZlNG came out on April 18th. So for the past couple of months, we've been really focused on touring and sharing the book with as many people as possible. And the response has been incredible. So we really hope that if it continues to do well, we can share more stories like this.
Yeah, we're riding high off of the energy. We're kind of running on some fumes, though. We're pretty tired. Promoting a book is really important, just as important as writing it, because you want as many people around the world to be able to enjoy it and learn from it in this case. And so this is actually our first book tour, because the Kudo Kids books both came out during lockdown. And so we weren't really able to travel. We weren't able to meet as many people, do as many interviews. We definitely didn't meet you until this go around. So we're really looking forward to creating more books, telling more stories, and adding to the representation for Asian Americans. But we might not necessarily always do books together. We have some different ideas. And so while all of our skating has happened, most of our skating that we're known for has happened together, we make a great team, but Maia has some different ideas, and you might be seeing a book from her at some point.
But it's been very inspiring for us to be out with our audience, our readers, because we work so hard with our collaborators, but then to see that in-person response or see feedback and comments, that definitely motivates us to keep going.
So, you've talked a bit about the inspiration behind AMAZlNG and what inspires you to, write, but was there a specific moment when you realized this book needed to be out in the world? A story like AMAZlNG just had to exist, and it needed to exist now?
I think we've always been unconsciously aware that there weren't really books like this. Whether I was sitting in my history class as a kid, not seeing very much in the contents of the book, that I was reading, my textbook about Asian Americans or Pacific Islanders, I think our parents tried to introduce us to different research and show us books, show us documentaries, so that we could become more familiarized with our community. But the community, the Asian American and Pacific Islander community, is so expansive. People come from so many different places. And so in thinking about how we wanted to best represent the figures in the book, that whole idea really kind of came into clear picture for us during the pandemic, because there was an increase in hate crimes, and really bad things were being said and done towards Asian American and Pacific Islanders. And so when kids were at home, we were honestly a little bit concerned, because I think, I hope this isn't the case for everybody listening or watching to this, but bullying is a real challenge and a real problem that exists for people of all ages. But specifically, we were thinking about children. And so we thought about what types of resources. If I couldn't recall opening a history textbook and seeing the stories that could enlighten, inspire, and increase the empathy that people have towards people who come from different backgrounds than them, what could we do to contribute using our skills? And so we wanted to do something so that teachers and libraries and parents would be able to introduce their children to these stories. And what's been really interesting actually about going on this book tour is that we've noted parents and older people than sort of the usual children's picture book reader have been really, really excited. And in some cases emotional, because they wonder what would have been different for them if there had been a book like this, not only for them to read as a young person, but also for their classmates and the kids in their neighborhood to read, so that they could also associate and have this amazing word associated with their community.
Well, I love that so much because bullying is like people do talk about it, but especially like prejudice, it's just so prevalent and like happening so much at schools, especially now with like social media and all the internet stuff. I mean, I'm saying it as if I'm a 30-year-old, but I mean,
You
okay,
are
now
a very mature, you're 11, right, E-Train?
12 now.
12. Well, you're still a very mature 12-year-old.
Yeah. Thank you. And I bet I probably made you feel old, so I'm sorry about that.
Not until just then.
But one of the things, we know that we didn't have a book like this growing up. And as Alex was saying, we've had older people than us come up to us at readings and different book signings and say that they didn't have something like this. And it's really only been in the past few years where it feels like there's been more representation through literature. So being a part of the author community has been very special. And the reaction to this book, to know that a whole generation of children will be growing up with this in their libraries or on their shelves, is really exciting because the goal was to inspire them, empower them, and also lead to more understanding for kids from all backgrounds.
Yeah, the best way, in our opinion, we feel to make change is to inspire the next generation, to invest in the next generation through education. And I know that you're all about books and education and sharing stories, and stories really is a great way to connect people and bring people together.
My next question for you is, so, I mean, we've talked a lot about the joy that's come writing AMAZlNG and the response from communities and community members, but were there any challenges that you two faced early on in your writing career? Or I guess we could even go back to your figure skating career. And how did you overcome them?
I think our figure skating career has really prepared us for the various external pressure or stress that we may feel whenever we start any creative project. Alex and I we know that perfection isn't possible, but we really want whatever we do to be the very best of what we're capable of. And so, especially with a book like AMAZlNG, where it is so representative of different communities, we wanted all the community members to feel good about the project. And so that pressure was immense, but that's where having great collaborators and having strong conversations is really important.
Yeah, similar to working with a coach or a physical trainer or a choreographer or a music producer or a costume designer in skating, you're working on a team with a bunch of other people to create a book. And so our co-author, Dane Liu, our editor, Jenny Bach, our illustrator, Alia Jalil, there's a whole team of people who really cared a lot about this project, but we all felt, and Maya and I felt very accountable, because when there isn't a lot of representation, the representation that does get created means more. There's more weight to it, and so you really want to get it right. And with a children's picture book, we wanted to make sure that each figure that we highlighted receive enough space on the page. And what I mean by that is that their illustration was accurate to how they look, but also large enough where they weren't small and pushed to the margins. We wanted there to be enough text in AMAZlNG. And so AMAZlNG, each figure receives a short biography, but it goes a little further than just saying what they did. If they were just an athlete, we don't just say that they played ice hockey. or that they were a surfer or are a surfer. We want to be able to tell their story and provide additional context that gets people excited and then excited to do more research and learn. And so, yeah, there's kind of this pressure associated with wanting to do the best that you possibly can. But in our experience with skating, we set a goal for ourselves and you create smaller checkpoints that you can accomplish on your way to accomplishing that big goal.
Well, I love the idea of not just giving a short bio of the people, which is incredible in its own right, but also giving just enough for people to know stuff, but also for people to want to start researching the heroes, because it's so important that a picture book is absolutely an amazing resource for people to learn about heroes and people in the AAPI world, I guess. But it's also, you have to also inspire your readers to want to know more, because you can't fit a whole entire biography into a picture book because it's a picture book.
Sure, we hope people understand that, like you do. There's no way that this book, the number of figures, there are 36, can be completely reflective of the entire Asian American and or Pacific Islander experience. But that's why inclusivity is really important to us. That's why trying to make sure that we provided a great combination of history and contemporary people that you can continue to follow and cheer on as they go about their lives and their careers. And we wanted to bring visibility to them because so many of them are doing such wonderful work. So yeah, I think that you've got it down, E-Train. You really understand exactly why we wanted to do it. I think with the children's picture book also, the illustrations, we wanted that to be inspiration for kids to start drawing. And so we're so excited that Alia Jalil did such amazing work because, I remember being a kid and opening up a children's picture book, and I wasn't as talented as Alia is, but like tracing the outline of the book and just having that curiosity introduced to me in that way.
Sometimes people ask if we did the illustrations and we very quickly say no, and that no one would want us to do that. So
Yeah.
we're very lucky that Alia is so talented.
Well, did you at least did you sketch the characters, like give them a brief, like what you would like to see, or was it just all Alia?
We came up with different references and we thought about the way that the spread should flow. But when it came to the execution, I wouldn't insult her by presenting a sketch and telling her to one up it, because it would just, trust me, E-Train, it would look like chicken scratch or something to her. Yeah.
It's a very collaborative process. And that's really something that we enjoy about this children's picture book experience that we had. I know that different books have different sort of processes behind them and everyone works in a different way, but this felt like a community telling the stories of a community. And I think that's what's particularly magical about this book. And we hope that, I do want to say something that I forgot earlier. And you were talking about kind of the challenges or the pressures. There was so much joy that went into the creation of this book, but there was also a lot of stress because we wanted to make sure that, on the one hand, we did as good a job as we possibly could. And on the other hand, that the book got out into the world. And that's why we're so appreciative of people like you who love the book and are talking about the book, because in order for the book to make change, people have to read it. People have to know about it. And for the Asian American and Pacific Islander sort of category of books, we really want this book to hopefully be a huge success. Not selfishly, purely so that more authors from our community can have the opportunity to write their own books or profile the leaders from their specific communities, whatever they want to do. Success kind of lifts the tide and allows everyone to be able to do more.
Well, I was originally contacted about AMAZlNG. I discovered that you wrote more books and they were middle grade stories. And I am a huge fan of middle grade because most of my bookshelf is middle grade. So right next to me, I have Kudo Kids, The Mystery of the Masked Medalist. And it's a fun and relatable middle grade mystery tale that is about Japanese culture, but it's also just about the Olympics. And I'm just going to leave it at that because it's a cliffhanger for everybody, but it's also a segue into, well, both of you. Can you share a bit about Kudo Kids?
Sure, we started writing Kudo Kids in the fall of 2018, and book one came out in 2020. And it was really such a fun and creative project for us. We'd written blogs, and we had done creative writing when we were growing up, but this was the first project that we really collaborated on together in this way. And the Kudo Kids chapter books, they alternate perspectives between Mika and Andy every chapter. And so I think that the way we divvied it up is we worked on the entire story together, but then we kind of allowed each person, Alex fostered the character of Andy while I focused more on Mika. And as Alex said earlier, we definitely pulled from some of our own personal experiences while also creating these two new characters who are very curious about the world.
And also just focusing on what we love. And so there's food in there, there's Japanese culture. You mentioned kind of, I guess, a little bit about the Olympics. And we were really excited to be able to introduce young readers of middle grade books to what an Olympics feels like, and all of the people from around the world that come together in one city to celebrate sport and competition. And so we thought that was the perfect backdrop for a fun mystery adventure. And, having the point of view of the story told through two characters, a girl and a boy, a sister and a brother. That was really fun for us too, because, in skating, we are 50% each of a team. And so being able to kind of, I guess, add our personal touches to those characters and then combine them and figure out what their relationship dynamic was going to be like when they were together.
The Kudo Kids books, well, at least the first one, they go to Tokyo, Japan, and it's basically when the Olympics took place, or I guess should have taken place, because your book came out in 2020 and the Olympics were supposed to take place in Tokyo that year, but we all know what happened. So were you kind of irritated at the world, and did you ever want to maybe publish the book the next year so that it would line up with the Olympics?
You can draw up the best of plans, and sometimes life throws a curveball at you, or several. And you're totally right on. The definite idea behind having Kudo Kids, the mystery of the masked medalists, take place in Tokyo at an Olympics was because we knew that the Olympics were going to be in Tokyo in 2020. And so the original release time for the book was, I believe, April. So a couple, 2 or 3 months before the Summer Olympic Games and in July. And we were hoping that, kids are still going to be in school. This fantastic, fun mystery adventure book comes out. And then it kind of gets everyone excited about the Olympics, because if one, we could get people excited about reading and following two characters who are Japanese American like us, that's great. But if we could also get more people excited about sports and the Olympics and the Paralympics, then that would have been even better. And unfortunately, as we all know, that wasn't exactly how it played out. And so I think that the release was later in 2020 in advance, because I think at the time, the publisher and our team, we weren't even sure if the Olympics were going to happen. So they got rescheduled to 2021, but there was sort of we should just get the book out there because we're already working on a second one. And so, it's a bummer that it didn't work out that way. It would have been really cool for us, for Maya and me, to go to Tokyo for the Olympics with our book about the Olympics in Tokyo. But yeah, I think in some ways, and I don't want to give away too much, there's a bit of a technology element to Kudo Kids, the mystery of the masked medalist. And so I don't know if your listeners or your viewers are familiar with Ready Player One, but we wanted to kind of combine a little bit of what type of technology we wish people had to be able to enjoy and learn about the Olympics. So people can look forward to that when they pick up a copy.
But for the readers who did get to learn about the series, it was nice to hear the feedback that when everyone was inside and unable to travel, they felt like they were traveling to Tokyo through reading the book. And we received a lot of photos of readers eating and reading at the same time. And there's a lot of food in Kudo Kids. So maybe that's why we received quite a few photos like that. But something else that happened was that the title is Kudo Kids, The Mystery of the Masked Medalist. We couldn't predict when we came up with the title that everyone would be wearing masks. So I guess that was some interesting synergy there.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions if masked medalist was meant to be mysterious or if it was literally like a N95 face mask. And we're like, no. It's we don't know the identity of the medalist, and that's why they're masked.
What is the most rewarding part of writing? What is, well, not just that, but of your writing journey, what has been the part of it that's kind of made you smile the most rewarding part? It might, maybe not an award, maybe just like a community experience or something like that.
It's very special when we see our books for the first time, because to go through the whole process of working on it and then to have it in your hands is extremely incredible. But then also just the community feedback, being with people of all ages and backgrounds and hearing that they connected with the stories. That's why we write, that's why we work on these projects. And so that's extremely fulfilling.
We're coming from a sport, figure skating, where we get instant feedback and reactions to what we do on the ice. When we compete or we perform, there's applause, and you're sharing a moment, you're sharing the story in real time with thousands of people, and then millions of people who are watching on computers or on televisions around the world. And so with the book, I think it's a warm, familiar feeling to be in person or to be remote even and hear stories about how the books are impacting people. And when they're enjoying them and sharing them, that is what makes us the happiest. Now, that doesn't mean that the creative process, or I guess the work part of developing the book, writing it, creating it, is not also fun. But certainly, I think when you've already finished it and you're sharing it, that's when you're able to really appreciate, because you can reflect on all of the steps along the way. And I think for me personally, I don't know about you, it's just I love meeting kids, like, because we were mostly engaging on social media with parents and middle grade book age readers for Kudo Kids, but meeting really young kids who are 3 or 4 or 5, and it might be one of their first books, and it being such a special feeling to know that they are growing up where they have access to a book like that, and maybe we'll take it for granted. I hope that for all communities who are underrepresented and not as visible at the moment, that there can be more amazing books that those communities can have access to, so that it becomes normal, and that's the goal.
So was that little thing that you did right there, was that planned? Normalized? Did you?
No. You mean like how she kind of helped me find the right word?
No. Oh, I thought that was like a coordinated kind of thing. Like you always just say that.
Oh,
that sounded so like perfect.
Oh yeah, no, that's just I think when you spend years and years. E-Train, do you have any siblings?
I don't know if I should be thankful for that or not.
Well, I think whether you have a sibling or not, if you have like a parent or a friend, someone that you spend a lot of time with and you know each other very well. We know each other very well because we've just spent hours and hours together.
Hours and hours.
At this point, I don't know if we've ever met another set of siblings that have spent more time together than we have. And that can be a good thing most of the time, and a bad thing sometimes. But I think, the normalized thing was just one of those unplanned things that happen when you know the other person so well.
Well, another sibling question. It's not necessarily me trying to learn about siblings, but do you have any like sibling rivalry when it comes to all of this? Well, for starters, you have a huge outreach through social media and other sources. And also, all siblings fight sometimes. So do you have any kind of rivalries when it comes to who's the better like figure skater or writer, or who has more followers? Do you have anything like that?
including, because we're a team, I think that we're always each other's biggest supporter and we believe in each other so much. So there's no rivalry when it comes to who may be better at one thing or another, just because we know that we have very different strengths.
And we're collaborating to bring it all together to
Yeah.
be the best that we as a team possibly can be.
And I think that's really translated to us writing books. The only maybe funny thing sometimes is when kids that are signing events maybe gravitate towards one or the other of us.
Normally it's Maya, which I understand. Maya's like a really special person. She's really cool. Sometimes it's because they are also a Maya, and there aren't that many Mayas out there, and so they're like, oh, like, you know, it's so cool that we have the same name, even if we don't spell it the same way. I don't feel like there's rivalry. I'm just like excited that people are connecting to the book or to Maya in a way, because I guess that's where I get to be a proud older brother, and be happy for that. When we were kids, I think it was a little bit more challenging because you know, when we started skating together and we didn't have all this these years of experience and collaboration, that's when you sort of start to feel a little bit more competitive. We've worked all of that stuff out. Though we totally understand the sibling rivalry thing. We only, I think people might know, we haven't really talked about it that often because I think we're so on the same page now, but we used to call it our Shibling rivalry, you know, because people call us the Shib Sibs. And so, yeah, it's like many other siblings, like many other friends, we'll pick something just for fun to be competitive about. When we were kids, it was like if we were waiting for the elevator, or we were walking towards an elevator, it would be who got to hit the button first. And so we would like run and like compete in that way. But it was always just very like.
Or sometimes when we're traveling now at airports, there are moving walkways, and one of us would be on the moving walkway, and the other will walk next to it.
Yeah.
Can get there first.
Yeah, always very safely, but there have definitely been times where we're at an airport somewhere and someone recognizes us, and they're like, "Were you just were you racing each other on it?" And we're like, "Yeah, sorry. I guess it's like it's a sibling rivalry thing."
Yeah, it's a sibling thing. You wouldn't understand it.
Yeah.
So my next question for you is, well, actually, this is the last question of the interview, and what's special about this question is that every person I've interviewed has been asked this, and some people have nearly fainted. Okay, no one fainted or was near.
We're sitting down. We're sitting down. We're okay.
Yeah, okay, that's good. So, thankfully, no one has been injured or harmed from this question. If you could be or meet any literary character, so you could meet your favorite author, or it could be your favorite character from a book, fictional or real, who would it be and why?
I think it would be very cool to meet Michelle Obama. I like the books that she's been writing. I find them to be very inspiring.
That's a great answer.
And so I would say that I would want to meet Tolkien, because that book was something that I read over and over and over again. And you know, I'm, as we've already said, much older than you, but I was reading the book, and only several years later, the films were released, and so I was able to, you know, have my own imagination inspired by these stories, and then actually get to see it on screen, which was the first time that had happened to me. You know, I loved Star Wars when I was a kid, and I know there are Star Wars books, but The Lord of the Rings was the first time that I read a book and it was adapted for the screen, and that just blew my mind. So I would want to meet Tolkien and see what he thinks of the movies.
Well, the characters that you had in your mind and you thought what they looked like, were they anything similar to what you saw on the screen, or completely different?
Yeah, I think a lot of people love the Lord of the Rings movies for that reason. You know, there's really great casting. I don't know exactly what I was thinking of when I read about Gollum. But the movie version just kind of like became what I thought of when I reread the book again and again. But that's a great question. Yeah, no, I think that it was pretty spot on. I never felt like when I saw the movies for the first time on opening weekend, it was like a huge deal. And I never was like, oh, you know, Aragorn doesn't look like that in my mind. But that definitely happens sometimes, and that's okay because everyone has a different sort of vision for how they see the characters.
I wasn't sure if you were going to say Michael Jordan or something.
Uh,
Alex loves basketball.
I think Tolkien,
Okay.
because that's my child. That's my inner child speaking. When I was 11, 12, 13, that was a really big deal for me.
That's awesome. So what is your favorite basketball team? What's your team?
Oh, so yeah, we were talking a little bit about this before we started recording. I asked you if, well, you've been doing some Kings stuff.
Yeah.
You're really lucky because the Kings are great. When I was your age, the Kings were also, they had some great playoff series against the Lakers. Vlade Divac, Peja Stojakovic, Mike Bibby, Chris Webber, they were Kings back in the day. So I was born in Boston. And so my first favorite basketball team was actually the New York Knicks, though, because I went to see a Knicks game at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But then I realized that I was born in Boston and a lot of my friends were Knicks fans already. And I thought it was, at the time, cool to be rooting for another team. And so I became a Celtics fan.
But then I think that I've been influencing Alex because I've never really had a team and we've moved around a lot, but I always like certain players. And so I think as we've gotten older and the league has changed and people get traded all the time, we tend to, if we like a certain player, continue to watch and cheer them on.
Yeah, you like just respect athletes so much. The ones who work really hard, overcome challenges, do good things for their communities. That's always fun. And so you realize that even though players move around from city to city, they're always doing good wherever they go. And those are the athletes that inspire us the most. Do you have a favorite player on the Kings?
Probably De'Aaron Fox. I mean, it's kind of an obvious answer, but he's also a really nice guy, and he's like, I see some of his like pictures that his wife posts like for his Father's Day stuff. So like he seems like a great dad too.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, the Kings are so lucky to have De'Aaron Fox. That was a really exciting series. I was rooting for them against the Warriors. That would have been really great if they could have made it. But they've got a young team, so it'll be exciting to watch them for many years into the future.
Yep. And they have been talking like big time with a bunch of trades and a bunch of players that are like gonna be free agents. So I'm on the edge of my seat, and I'm gonna be on that edge of my seat for the next few months until like the next season.
So you're a big time basketball fan.
I have always been a huge basketball fan, and I mean, I was more of a football kind of guy, but now more recently basketball has been ramping up, and it's also cool to see the Kings be good because they've been awful for the past few years. By few, I mean 17 years. So
I like the light the beam.
yeah, it's very cool. They added a new beam, so it's going to be even brighter next season.
Oh wow! Wait, so it's still one beam, but it's a brighter beam. It's not like two beams.
Yeah, it's one beam. It's going to be like pretty big, and it's going to be a lot brighter. They added like tons and tons of electricity to kind of make it glow even more. So it's going to be exciting to see.
That's awesome. Yeah, with basketball, it's really year round. You can follow it all times of the year with the off season, but we're definitely missing. June is kind of our favorite month, May, June, because there's basketball, the NBA playoffs, and then there's the Stanley Cup playoffs. There's the and so there's always something on television to watch. And now there's no NBA playoffs anymore, and we're just kind of like, okay, I guess we'll work.
Yeah, now it's just baseball. And
right. Are you a baseball fan as well, or not so much?
No, not really.
I grew up a big baseball fan because we lived in Connecticut, and so Red Sox and the Yankees have this big rivalry, but it was especially potent in like the early 2000s.
A long time ago.
A long time ago, and the Red Sox hadn't won a World Series in a really, really long time, and so that was really fun for me as a kid to be able to see that. So I hope, E-Train, that the Kings are able to win it all. And you get to light the beam and go to a parade. It's really fun.
Well, I'm excited, and I have hope that it will happen because at least I know that we probably won't be in another 17-year playoff drought for a little while. So that's nice to know that.
hope.
Yeah, you always have to have hope when you're cheering on your favorite sports team.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a AAA team here. We don't really have an MLB team. That's all the way in San Francisco. So
Cool. Well, I'm very happy for your Kings.
yeah, too.
I think they kind of became my favorite Western Conference team to watch. The way that they play is really fun. Like we watched a few games, and just their offense is so fast, and they move the ball really well. Sabonis is like a great passing center, and so it's really fun to watch them. That Golden State Warriors series, it was fun because it was kind of like watching the young Warriors in a way. They were right on the same level offensively. So I think just a little more time, a little more maturity, and their time will be right around the corner.
Yep. And now back to the book talk a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I have some people who like basketball that watch this, but hopefully I'm not boring like those authors to death.
Oh no, I think it's really cool that you have so many different interests. Have you ever thought about writing a book?
I have thought about writing a book. It's just so I want to write a book about middle school, but it's kind of hard when you're not even finished with it. So I'm kind of waiting until I'm done with this like wild ride of the next like 2 years, and then I think that I'll be more serious about writing a book because I'll like because I don't really have an ending of like middle school or all this crazy stuff that's going on. So once I know an ending, then I'll be able to kind of write a bit more seriously.
Okay. Well, maybe basketball can be something. If you want to talk more about basketball on your show, maybe if you write a book about middle school and a little bit of basketball,
Yeah,
then
that'd be cool.
your viewers and your listeners will,
Understand that you're a very dimensional person.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
think actually having so many different interests is a really good thing. Like people might know you for books, but that doesn't mean that you can't learn from other things as well. I'm sure your love of basketball will definitely factor into your success in whatever you do.
Now, everybody, let's all give a huge round of applause for Maia and Alex Shibutani. Authors, figure skaters, they're everything, and they're amazing. I always point to it. And so, Maya and Alex, thank you so much for joining me. And I've loved our talks about not just books and not just figure skating, but also basketball, inspiration, and how your drawings are like chicken scratch. So,
Thank
so
you.
yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having us. This was so much fun. Really cool hanging out.